Welcome back to Football Coach, episode number 31. I've mentioned not too long ago that I'm quite a ways ahead on recording for this series, but I do believe I got one episode in since coming down with a cold. And it's been nasty. It's been really bad, and as I've gone through this week, well, that one episode that I think I got in, it was like day one where, I was still coming down with the cold, not feeling well, and then by the end of the day, yeah, it was awful. But the first phase of that day wasn't as bad. I'm just now starting to feel a little bit better. 4 days into just epic nastiness, RSV, fun stuff. Anyway, I have a feeling this will be an episode on the shorter side, or I might have to stop halfway through and just resume recording. If you see a sudden clothing change, that would be the reason for all of that. But one of the consequences of this cold has been a very, very foggy brain, and I've not trusted my decision making very well at all. Mistakes can and will be made. So for the very first time, and possibly the only time, and it's sad because I really think we can win this game even if we control it. Finally, we've never beaten Hawaii, right? And this feels like the biggest, best opportunity to finally do so. But I'm hands off. I am not going to play a game live the rest of this season, or for this episode at least, while I'm dealing with foggy brain and I can't make decisions. I know that we lost to Kansas while controlling, and I think that was the first day where I was sick, and I'm so disappointed that we lost that game when we really, really shouldn't have. But we righted the ship. We beat Washington State last week with the simulation. Let's see if we can beat Hawaii with the simulation this time. And, it's a game that we should be pretty heavily favored on. They only have a 78-79. We are a much better team at home. Okay, well, the streak does not end. Hawaii again beats Gamer U 28-17. We have been dealing with Macaulay being injured. That's been a factor. And Macaulay's going to be back to full strength here. I mean, Macaulay does have low durability, but wow. Okay. Still no win against Hawaii. We finally get that second win against Arizona, 23-17. It's been shocking, though, just how poorly we're performing. I think a lot of that's coming down to the coaching. The coaches are really hurting us, but 75% pass completion by Chappell for the game. Another new rushing record, 254 yards, and we held them to 17, which was also the best our defense has ever done in one day. It's crazy how we can't seem to win games against really tough. Let's rephrase that. Foggy brain. It's weird that we can't win games against bad teams at home. I mean, okay, we're 2-2 out of 4 of those, so I guess yes, we can't win games, but we've not been able to beat Hawaii at all, and yet we can go to Utah with a 5-2 record, and they're definitely better than us, but only just, and take it to overtime, where we have yet to win in overtime ever. We've lost every overtime game that the team has ever played, but 23-20. I love that everything has been respectable this season, but we still only have 2 wins at this point. D lineman Liam Outlaw ready to sign, and we were number 2, but we made a very big push this week that I think will give us a definite shot to overtake East Carolina, but no, we do finish 400 points behind. It looks like they put in a pretty hefty final week themselves. Yeah, they did. They added 500 points. They had an ace pitch, which we don't have the ability to match. They added another 150 to the NIL deal. We put in 300K, but wasn't quite enough. I think I said this in the last episode, but who knows? Foggy brain. But I'm making much more of an effort to take on those head-to-head battles this season. For one, the players we're always going for are the leftovers. And a lot of the guys that nobody else is targeting, period. Right? We take the leftovers that didn't get an offer. Absolutely. And those have been the best signings. But also the guys that nobody scouts at all, nobody covets, we're able to get the best of those. Well, that's a process, and that's really down to scouting. These guys, it's a whole different process, a whole different ball game to try to win those signings. And we're not going to get them all, but we are finding that we are competitive this season. I think we are going to win some of these. I think we are going to surprise and get a few signings, but it's tough. It's tough to overcome the advantages that everybody else has over us. Tulsa has fallen to 1 star and looks like the weakest team we've ever faced. 78-76 overall. They're 0-8 on the season. This should be a win. We're at home, right? And it is 41-23. We get the job done, and we have our very first 3-win season. I was really hoping for a 4-win season here, but a 3-win season's not bad. We got a few guys ready to sign, one of which I was the only one coming in, and yeah, nobody else offered. This came on kind of late. I hadn't scouted him at all, but he showed up as a ready to sign, but no offers, and had potential. 75 overall. Like, we got a high school kicker who's decent and has potential. Like, wow. It's been so hard to recruit kickers. I wasn't really looking. I was going to start looking next year, but I'm happy to have him. But what about these other two? This is running back I definitely wanted. 65, B+, and high durability, but we were not at the top of the list. It turns out that it looks like we actually can battle others. I was just talking about this. We had lost a battle by about 400 points. Here, for one thing, Oregon State, like Corvallis, we crushed them. They were not even... They gave an offer, and gave an offer earlier, but we were way ahead of them. Now, we did not, as this is one we weren't on the list, but we went after him very, very early, found he was a gem, has high potential, and a good overall already. A 65 overall is a good running back recruit for a 2-star guy. But Stanford is the other one who went after him. And Stanford was number 1 a week ago. But I offered a small NIL. I increased it a little bit more this week. We've really, really been pitching him hard for a long time, and I think Stanford wasn't as into picking this guy up. So it looks like we actually could compete, and we win it comfortably, 1,200 points ahead. Oh, that's a very good addition. That's 2 years in a row with a good running back in the class. And meanwhile, we also have a wide receiver. We were the only ones in on him. He's also got very good durability, even though the potential wasn't great, but starting with a good overall, already a 67, and the high durability while still having potential is a good combination for a 3-star guy. And we weren't the only ones who had been pitching him, but we're the only ones who gave him an offer. Macaulay had 2 touchdowns. That's a record in a game. A running back having 2 touchdowns in one game. And Cooper Knowles with the defensive touchdown. Is that a pick 6 or did he pick up a fumble? Not sure. But our rushing record that we just set a week ago of just over 250, we've crushed it. 338 in one game. And, oh, I love this and. We put 338 on the ground and only gave up 78 on the ground. Oh, beautiful. Well, with that third victory, we have accomplished the promise for our tight end. The 40% snaps, both of those guys have it. One, he's only at 51%, but well above the 40%, so he's hanging in there. The last one is the make all conference team, but for now, anyway, we've succeeded on these three, so we're already pretty much offsetting anything that could happen if we do somehow fail with Josue Pryor, but he's been massive for us. And how is he doing? 18 pancakes. No sacks allowed. Could be that he'll make that all-conference team. The prestige gain really comes down to the ranking, and the ranking, it's harder to come by without any marketability. I feel like I might have to actually invest a little bit into the marketability, right? Because it can absolutely make a difference in your final position, which makes a difference on how much prestige you gain. Last year, when we needed to finish in the top 70, we finished 69th and gained a tiny little bit of prestige. This year we've got 3 wins, and we're going to probably lose the last 2, and we find ourselves only 62nd in the ranking, somehow ahead of Hawaii. Probably on balance, they're looking at how good our team is versus our record, and looking at how they've picked up some wins, but I mean, their most prestigious win was probably beating us. Their rival, and they are a higher prestige team, and I mean, we are a 1-star team after all. For them, they've had that cakewalk of a calendar again. That they have such an easy schedule every year, and that really helps with farming wins. And yes, from now on, we absolutely need to change our focus from developing facilities as rapidly as possible to we've got to start farming some wins. We've got to get that prestige up to about a 3-star level, so that we can bring in the extra money, have the extra NIL money, develop coaches, or replace coaches, possibly. You never know. That might still happen. Anyway, it's a 3-win season. We're headed in the right direction. Finally. Rough year for the Pack. A lot of teams losing. I mean, we just beat Stanford to a recruit. Like, they're number 10. They're 8-2. Oregon's number 5. The string of close losses to good teams continues. In Seattle, UW 16-13. Our best ever defensive performance, and 13's good to put up against a team with that quality, especially on the road. We keep nearly surprising these guys. So close. And with better coaching, I think we'd be winning so many more games. But the idea, the concept was to make that happen from within, right? Make the coaches be great. We just got to train them. But they've got to win to be able to get the XP to level up. But hey, we do have 3 wins. We have 3 wins. It could be better. They should be on their way. And we are definitely going to start putting some points into the play calling bonuses. But even though everybody else can get up to a plus 13 on play calling bonuses because of the difficulty, we can only max out at 10. Right now we're at a 7 and a 6. It's not awful, but it's why I can't get away from the run first, because we're locked in with these coaches. We've got an offensive lineman, a 61 overall with A- potential, but I've been chasing this guy for a long time with competition, and I'm not sure we will have overtaken Kentucky on this one. We do not, but we did overtake Philadelphia. I mean, we were 1,000 points ahead of them, but we ended up actually a lot further behind than it was showing the estimates. We were only 500 down. Official visit, that helped. I didn't get a visit in. He was already going. Like, I waited till late in the season and tried to squeeze it in, and it was too late. Anyway, they picked up 1,500 points this last week to beat us by 1476. They gained over 1,000 on us here. So we really were only the 500 behind, but we added a little more to the NIL deal matching theirs. They added a little more as well. A simple target player was it, but it's the visit. Yeah, we're definitely not winning all of these battles, that's for certain. But even just winning any of them is making a difference on getting us a little bit higher caliber recruit. And, unlike last season where we only had 2 guys, we're doing okay. We've got 4 or 5 recruits already, and we're definitely in line for a number of others. And it's shaping up to be a pretty good class. Well, the season wraps up with another loss to drop us to 3-9. However, USC was the number one team in the nation a week ago until they lost their first game. So they do bounce back with a win, and they definitely put up some points on us, 55 of them. But hey, we scored 31 points against USC, and we're going to get the maximum double bonus from our donors this year. We're going to get $750K for holding opponents to less than 295 passing yards per game by holding them significantly under that mark at 248. We're also going to get $1.5 million for the medium version. Last year we had the easy version, the first time we ever even accomplished one of these. This year it's the medium one with 13 plus takeaways. We got 21, which was even more than a year ago. Team really went in a very strong direction this year. Now, last year's recruiting class, of course, up front was nerve-wracking, right? We only had those 2 early commitments, but we did eventually get a full class of 18, and there was a few. There was a few that were weaker than what we're used to getting of late in recent years, but the majority of the 18, there was quality in there still. So it was still a good recruiting class. It wasn't really a down year, and so far recruiting's been good for this season at this stage. I hate that our ranking is only sitting at 64 though, so the prestige jump is not going to be significant. I feel like I should throw a little bit into the marketability of our program, because it could have us be 61st instead of 64th. One level. I don't know how much difference that one level will make, but I do know that we'd get a healthy prestige boost if we were a 61 instead of a 64, and it helps on recruiting. I mean, all of it helps on recruiting, right? It all comes at a cost. But anyway, we end up with a top 40 capability, but end up just outside of the top 60 in the actual. And I think that's really the coach effect. But points per game, 50th. Opponent points per game, 59th. We nearly broke even. 23 per, 29 against. The 6-point differential. With what still amounted to not an easy schedule. We finally did get 6 at home and 6 away, but we played some really good teams, I mean, as we always do. It was not a easy schedule. And, we did pretty dang good for ourselves for only being 3-9. We were in so many games, so many close losses. Yards per game, though, top 60, 50. Like, you look at all of these stats, and you combine this, the ability, like, we should be ranked somewhere around 58th, 59th with the 3-9 record. Just performance-wise, metrics, how this team has performed. Anyway, 369 yards per game. We've been dead last almost every year, so we are making progress. And 422 against, likewise, is it's right there in the same place. I love how we performed this year. It was good. It would have been really nice if we would have been 4-8 and gotten that little bit more and get that bit more of a prestige boost, but we're on our way, folks. We are on our way. Now, I know the episode's short at this point, but like I said, I'm sucking it up and pushing through. Now it's time to go rest. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.